Welcome to Unit 2. This unit celebrates the freedom we have to travel the world and experience different places and cultures. Listen to people talking about their experiences of long journeys, the planning and preparation stages, and the difficulties of travelling on different modes of transport.
I went on a long-haul flight to Malaysia. It was non-stop, and to prepare for that I didn't get much sleep beforehand so that it would be easier to sleep on the flight, and also I didn't really go to see any films or anything beforehand so that everything that I watched on the flight would be new.
The longest journey I made was back in 2011, where I travelled from Aotearoa, New Zealand through to Kautokeino in Norway, which is up in Samiland, up in the Arctic Circle. What did I do to prepare for it? I actually focused on what I was there for. So for me, it's not so much about the getting there, it's the purpose of why you would drag your body, your mind and spirit, around the planet to get to somewhere. So I focus on the purpose for being there, which was working with Indigenous peoples up in the Arctic Circle and doing some tertiary education initiatives with Indigenous peoples around the world. So that helped fill my mind whilst my body was zooming 13 kilometres in the air where it shouldn't be.
The longest journey I ever made was to Jakarta. It took about 27 hours because we had a flight changeover. I hadn't prepared for it much at all because it was my honeymoon and I was doing a trip around Indonesia, and I was so focused on the wedding that I hadn't organised myself for the honeymoon, and so not anywhere near the normal amount of prep that I would do for a much more local holiday. So not much.
This is the longest trip I've ever made. I'm actually here for 3 months, and I just prepared for it by spending a lot of time with my family, soaking up everything that I thought I'd miss, getting myself real good into cabin fever so that I'd be, hopefully not as homesick once I left and more ready to explore, I guess.
Yeah, I think one of the longest journeys was coming here to London. It takes a very long time. I didn't prepare as well as I should have, but I just made sure I had all my tickets and my boarding passes for the flight. I had lots of snacks for the flight, and I made sure to set my watch for the time that I was arriving in, not the time I was leaving from, and just got excited.
So I was living in the Czech Republic and I'd just moved to a new apartment, and one night after a party at work I got the late bus home, and I knew where my stop was, but I fell asleep on the bus and I woke up in the depot, and it was very cold. It was winter, it was about minus 15 degrees, and so I had to wait for the bus to go back. So I begged the bus driver to let me sit on the bus until he was going back, but he wouldn't let me do that. So I had to stand outside in the cold, waiting for 45 minutes at minus 15 degrees until the bus went back. So eventually the bus pulled back up at the stop, let me on, and it literally went round the corner 10 yards and there was my stop.
We had a difficult air trip for a skiing holiday one year. We were advised that our flight was leaving 4 hours earlier than planned. So we travelled up the night before and stayed in a hotel overnight. When we got to the airport, they didn't know that the flight had been pulled forward. And when we eventually found out what time our flight was leaving, it was actually a delay of an hour. So we'd spent 5 hours in the airport for an early flight that didn't actually happen. So that was a tad annoying.
One time in the Amazon, it was in Ecuador, we were on a tiny little plane, and I had my elder on the plane as well, and we were It was this tiny little plane. We were going into a village in the Amazon, and as we took off, she was sitting by the door, and we watched the little screws out of the door as it was shaking start to pop out, and so we're busy screwing back the door into place while we're on the plane. That's probably the most stressful I've been, but at the same time I was laughing. When you were in safe hands, yeah, you just trust that somehow you're doing the right thing at the right time. That was quite exciting.
I'd say one time I took a trip from my town up to St. Louis, and the entire interstate was shut down for 4 hours, so we were just stopped dead in traffic with no way to get off of the highway or out of our car for a good chunk of time. That was probably the worst experience I've had.
I was on a boat and I was going, my granddad sails a boat and I was on his boat, and it was a really rough day on the seas, and I was really little, and I got really seasick, and I spent the whole 10-hour journey just huddled in a ball with seasickness, and I won't go into details, but it was not that fun.
I quite like travelling by plane. I had a good experience when I was a kid. I was flying on my own, and I was meeting my grandmother on the other side, and they really took care of me, and they let me see the cockpit, and I met the pilot, and it was really fun.
Plastic pollution is a slow-motion tragedy. It's a disaster that we've been watching unfold on the news and in TV documentaries over the last decade. Today, it feels like we've reached the point where the scale of the environmental emergency facing us is overwhelming. And with a problem that's so enormous, it's hard to imagine how, as individuals, we can make any difference. It's hard, but it's not impossible. It's autumn, and for the past week, people around the UK have been taking part in beach and river cleans, organised by the environmental charity Surfers Against Sewage. Groups of hundreds of volunteers of all ages have spent hours collecting and recording the plastic pollution at nearly 500 events that were part of an annual Big Autumn Beach and River Clean. Between them, they've collected 36 tons of rubbish. The popularity of events like these is a clear sign of the growing awareness of the issue of plastic pollution and of people's desire to be part of the solution. But what can you do if you don't have a couple of hours to spare or can't make it to an organised beach clean? Well, you can start to make a difference with just a couple of minutes.
My name is Martin Dorey. I am the founder of a project called the 2-Minute Beach Clean. And the 2-Minute Beach Clean is a campaign to try and inspire people to spend 2 minutes picking up litter each and every time they go to the beach. I firmly believe that everybody on this planet has a part to play in the plastic problem. And I believe that everybody can make a difference.
Martin first noticed a problem with plastic pollution on his local beach in 2009. He wanted to do something about it.
I decided that I would use social media to try and encourage people to help me clear it up. So I started using the hashtag 2-Minute Beach Clean, and I went and took pictures of my 2-minute beach cleans and posted them to Twitter and to Instagram, and it kind of just exploded from there. 2 minutes is key because it's nothing. So if I say to you, could you help me with something? It's only going to be 2 minutes. It's nothing to you.
Today, there are hundreds of 2-minute beach clean boards around the UK. These boards have simple instructions, along with litter pickers you can borrow and bags you can use to collect rubbish, making it easy for everyone to get involved. Social media has played a vital role in the 2-Minute Beach Clean campaign. The boards encourage people to take a photo of the rubbish they have collected and to post it with the hashtag 2-Minute Beach Clean.
And social media is vital because we invite people to take a picture and then upload it to social media, and that gives us the weight that what we're doing, we can count it if you like. And it's just a way of people being included. So there are lots of people who do beach cleans, but then they maybe felt like they were alone. But when they post to social media, they join a kind of family or tribe of people doing exactly the same thing, so they can start to feel that their effort is adding to somebody else's effort, is adding to somebody else's effort.
With the help of social media, the 2-Minute Beach Clean idea has been spreading around the world.
And when you look at the Instagram posts, we've had them from every continent, including Antarctica, and there are something like 88 or 89,000 of them to date, of those that are spelt right. So we know that there is a minimum amount of litter being picked up, which is great because it means that our campaign is effective.
The 2-Minute Beach Clean movement isn't just encouraging people to clean up plastic pollution. It is also trying to change people's behaviour when it comes to using plastic. There are a number of items that always appear in any beach clean. These include plastic bottles, bottle tops, food wrappers, and plastic cutlery, including straws, and cotton bud sticks.
None of us need to use any of those items. So if we all cut them out tomorrow, we reduce the amount of litter going into the sea by 1/3. And that's amazing. And that means that we can all make a difference. Single-use water bottles are a really great example of our world going mad. It costs 500 times more to buy bottled water than it does to get it from a tap. We think nothing of asking for tap water in a restaurant. Why shouldn't we do it somewhere else? And the reason that we feel bad about it is because we don't want the shopkeeper to say there's a fridge full of water there and they're £1.50 each. And that's a symptom of how crazy our society is, that everything has a price. And a basic human right like water has been packaged up, bottled up and sold to us who are being stupid for buying it, when actually there's a perfectly good solution coming out of every tap.
But whether you are taking part in an organised beach clean or doing a 2-minute beach clean, is picking up some litter off a beach really a solution to the plastic pollution crisis, when the scale of the problem we face is so enormous?
It's too big for us to be able to understand. But if you say to somebody, pick up litter for 2 minutes, and tell them it's enough, they will be able to stop feeling guilty about not doing it all. But that 2 minutes is enough, because you add that to the other 2 minutes and the other 2 minutes and the other 2 minutes, it soon adds up. It's a message to invite them to do more. So once you've done your 2 minutes, start there and move on. Do 8, 10. I love it when people send me pictures that say, I did a 2-minute beach clean, but it turned out to be 40 minutes. And they go, ha, ha, ha. You know, I say, brilliant, you've done 40. Fantastic. Carry on. You know, I don't mind that they think that 2 minutes is a bit of a joke, because it's starting that matters. And if we can get people started with 2 minutes, then who knows where they'll go onto, whether it's an hour, or whether it's changing the way they live, or whether it's cutting out plastic, or whether it's picking up litter in the park, in the mountains, on the beach. I don't care, as long as they start.